Hey everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Raeann, but you can call me Ray. I don't know if you guys can tell, but today's video is so exciting. Oh my god. Okay, so today's video is on the Colourpop and Hocus Pocus palette. So this is the Gather Round. I can't even say sisters like the way that they say it in the movie, but like if I could I would. So anyways, it's the palette of the collection. I am so excited. I just keep looking at the artwork and just seeing how beautiful it is, but I love Hocus Pocus. I mean, it came out when I was a kid, so I grew up with the movie. I absolutely love it so much. It's literally a staple for this time of year for me. Like, you literally can't go in the month of October without watching Hocus Pocus like a million times. I love the movie so much, and I was so excited when this collection was announced. I freaked out. Like, we're gonna hang out and play with the palette today. I will do some swatches with the palette. This is what the inside, it's the cute little artwork of the Sanderson sisters, so cute. This is the palette. Super pretty. Like, it's actually prettier in person than I thought it would be. Also, look at my nails. I did my nails myself and I'm pretty damn proud of them. Super pretty palette. I am so excited to play with this. I will just do a brief rundown of how the launch day went, even though I'm sure you've heard it a million times already. Basically, I was on the website, on Colourpop's website, on the Wednesday that it was supposed to release, and I was on there for like 30 minutes. I was there for like 15 minutes before it was even 10 when it was supposed to go live, at least for me. And then basically I went to go check out. I decided to use a different card, and when I put a card in, it basically was like, oh, this doesn't seem right, so like redo it. And I was like, okay, whatever, fine. Go to check out and it updates and says the palette's sold out. So, which isn't really that big of a deal, because honestly, if I would have bought it the day that it came out, actually sorry, that was the second day that it launched. That was Thursday. I was unsuccessful buying it Thursday. Wednesday, you couldn't even get on the website. You basically were just hanging out and you couldn't do anything on the website, and it was slowly uploading products, and it just wasn't, they just were not ready at all for the amount of traffic that this was going to bring in. And honestly, I understand that happening every once in a while, but I feel like that's such a big theme anymore, where brands just aren't anticipating something to be so big, and it's just like, are you sure you weren't expecting this to be like huge? Was that not part of the reason why you chose Hocus Pocus or whatever the theme is? Even when Colourpop came out with the Sailor Moon collection, that was a disaster. They basically kept bringing it back for like months after it released because people still weren't able to buy it every time they put it online. Basically, I went to my Ulta because I found out that it was going to be at Ulta on Sunday, so I waited in line. There was like a couple people ahead of me, and then by the time I actually got into the store, when it got closer to 11 when they opened, there were like 30 or 40 people in line. And since I was one of the first people, well, I was probably like one of the first, like I was like 5 or 6 in line. Like, I wasn't the first person there, but I was there a decent amount of time before they opened. Basically, I was able to go into the store, get the palette. There were literally only like 8 or 10 palettes there, and that's it. They had a couple of the lashes, and they literally had nothing else stocked. I didn't want to buy anything else. I literally just wanted the palette, and I was able to get it. But for anybody else that was in line, they weren't able to get anything, because I even went back. I picked up this nail color. I went back and there was nothing left. So everybody that was in line was just there for this. They picked up whatever they wanted and there was nothing left. So anyone who was even a couple people after me probably didn't get anything. They're supposed to be releasing it again, like doing a couple more restocks, and I don't know how the whole situation with Ulta is going to work, because I'm assuming whenever they get their stock, it's just going to sell out anyways. I don't know, and I'm probably rambling, so we're going to go ahead and get into the swatches. I will say this palette color story isn't 100% what I wanted. It is pretty, but it's a very watered down version of what I thought this palette could have been. Very watered down. It is pretty, but it's not what I was hoping for. And with anything else in the collection, I really didn't need it. The lip kits made sense because they were like the colors that they wear, but I also kind of wish they did something fun to do like also the colors of their outfits, because that's kind of how the eyeliners were. So if they did lipsticks those colors too, like they did the reds and then the colorful ones, that would have been really cool. I'm just saying, because a lot of people were upset with the lipsticks specifically, and it made sense, but it could have been more fun, or they could have done the reds and then fun colors. Yeah, let's go ahead and get into this. I don't remember how much this palette retailed for, but you know, like 20 something. This is the shade Full Moon. Of course, it's going to swatch out on me and not be seen very well. I'm just gonna keep going without really saying the shade names. Just going in order, left to right, top row, then we'll go to the bottom row, or the second row. This is like a pressed glitter, I think. I do love these shade names though. This one's On Toast. I love that. I love that they included that. Coven. I'm so excited to get into these shimmer shades though. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the next row. Sorry, I laughed because the shade that I just watched is called Tis Firm. And Thackeray Inks. They have a shade in here called Yabos. I love that. These shade names are seriously on point. They're so good. I call it a bus. Guess I am reading the shade names, but they're very entertaining. I love that like olivey green shade too. Alright, so this is the first two rows. I'm gonna go ahead and remove them, and then we'll come back to do the other. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the third row. This shade is gonna be, it's like a pearly, almost kind of a silvery shade at the same time. Ooh, this one looks super pretty. Look at that. And then Dead Man's Toe. Ah, I love these names. So good. I need to watch this movie when I come home from work. Ooh, that one looks super pretty too. I'm already really torn of what kind of like eye look I want to go for today. Alright, ooh, that she's actually even pretty too. Alright, so those are the swatches. Super pretty. Everything felt like it swatched out pretty nicely. I'm gonna go ahead and start my look, and then I'll be back to show you guys. Let's go ahead and get into the look. So it's kind of grungy. My mouth just made like the weirdest noise. It's grungy, and I like it because I like that stuff. So, anyways, let's go ahead and get into it. Basically, we're gonna start with this shade here, and then we're gonna go into this shade here. So, starting out with this shade in this area, then going out with the green shade. But I always kind of like wing out my looks too a little bit, so I will definitely be doing that here. I didn't mention this earlier, but for any of you who like normally like watch my videos, I think I let everyone know that I was going to do it, but surprise. Okay, so basically going in with this shade, the more pinky shade here, we're doing like a cut crease action, so just want to build this up the best that we can, and it'll probably stop like right about here, and then we'll go into the green shade. Alright, so I feel like I pretty much have it where I want it now. You can always go in and deepen it up later, which most likely you'll have to anyways. And then we're going to go into that green shade, so it's Bewitched. So this is totally like off topic, but the show Bewitched was actually one of my favorite shows when I was growing up. And like obviously it aired way before I was born, but whenever it was on TV, like there's a couple channels that would play like older TV shows. I loved that show. That show and I Love Lucy, and then like I really liked them as kids, like whenever they were on TV. And then I like really love them when I was like a teenager, and like honestly still love them now. I haven't watched either of them in a while, but like just some of the older sitcoms are just so good. I know it has nothing to do with Hocus Pocus, but your daily dose of Raeann information that you didn't ask for. Alright, so it has a good like gradient in here, gonna blending them in together, but still wanting the colors to be separated at the same time. And then gonna blend it out with this shade right here. So this one, I like to go a little bit lighter with this shade towards the inner part of my eye. So I'll start with the outer part, really like smoke this part out, and then still trying to keep the shape, just not have it be as like blunt basically. And of course this isn't going to be perfect right now anyways, so not really worried about that. And this shade's actually going to be the one that goes underneath the eye too. I know these nails aren't really long, but super excited to have nails again. It's been a very long time. These are actually just press-ons too. I kind of taught myself how to do dip powder over like quarantine basically when shelter in place first started. I did them for my birthday because my birthday was in June, and I just wanted to do something nice because I normally would get my nails done for my birthday, and I did them myself, and I was like, okay, I think I could do the dip nails again later and do them better, but I took them off in June, and then I was going to do them again, and I never did. But when I wanted to get like tips that were already rounded, but then I ended up getting just the press-on ones, and I didn't really realize it, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to do the press-on ones. So I did the press-on ones, and I painted them. Not bad. Alright, so honestly, this look is so like 100% me, like 1000% what, like I just can't explain it. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and cut out my crease, and then I will be back to show you guys what else I do. Then it'll be time to do the rest of my face. Okay, so now that I put the concealer down and then also have a little bit of glitter primer on, I always do glitter primer before my shimmers. We're gonna go ahead and go in with this shade here, and then once we get to like mid area basically, we're gonna go into the more olivey shade right here. So let's talk about Hocus Pocus more. Who was your favorite character? I need to know. Like, when I was growing up, this is so funny too, like I remember this meme, and I'm gonna get the wording wrong, so I'm not even gonna really try on the wording, but it was kind of something like, when we were younger we wanted to be Sarah, but when we were like growing up or like teenagers or whatever, we were like Winnie, and then when like we're adults and older, we're Mary. And it's funny, last year I actually dressed up as Mary, and she honestly is like, she might be my favorite character just because she's just, everything she does is just like funny, and I don't know, it's just relatable. Like I love them all, but like, you know, I really relate to the fact that I'm definitely more of Mary now. and I can appreciate that. But I was her for Halloween last year, and two of my other friends, we actually dressed up at work, but we were the Sanderson sisters, and I was Mary. I had purple hair then, so it worked perfectly. I 100% can do all of her facial expressions, like, and yeah, it was really cool. So we had a Winifred, and we also had a Sarah, and it's funny because we all kind of fit those personalities in a way, and like those, just the characters in general, so it really worked out like perfectly. Now my hair's red, so no Mary this year, but maybe again one day. Alright, so also I feel like last year I totally like, oh, so I already told you guys I was going into, hold on, did I really say I was going into the green shade? I didn't go into the green shade for the shimmer. I wanted to. I was thinking about it, but I actually lied earlier. I actually go in with this shade here. I think because I like kind of blended it out enough and then blended it into that matte green shade that I guess I forgot what I did. But I went into the other shimmer instead and just kind of tapped that on, brought it out to the green shade. I don't know what I was thinking earlier. I just got distracted apparently. Alright, so this is basically it. I'm gonna kind of touch things up a little bit. Need to add a little bit more color back in here. I really want to do liner, but I'm probably not going to. I feel like a black liner would be really fun with this, just to add to it, but I'm not going to. I was gonna say, I'm not even sure if I want to do actual lashes or not, too. I might not. Oof. I don't know. That'll be something that I'll decide, I guess, when I get there, but I'm gonna finish up the rest of my makeup. Then we can talk about the palette a little bit. I don't think I have that much to say, honestly, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but we'll talk about it briefly and then we'll go from there. The inner corner color that I used here is from a different palette. It's a different green. It's like a lighter green shade. I felt like that would go nicely instead of just doing like a normal highlight shade. So yeah, especially since I kind of used the highlight shade in the palette as my main lid shade, so I didn't really want to like, I just wanted something else here. I don't know how well you guys can see it because it doesn't look like it's picking up too well on camera, but alright, so I'm gonna finish up my makeup and I will be back. Alright, so this is the finished look. So, one, I actually kind of love it. I don't know, I haven't actually been seeing, I haven't really looked into how like other people are doing their looks for this palette. I know there's probably a ton of, sorry, I'm trying to get my makeup right. I know there's probably a ton of videos on this on this palette already, but only seen a few looks, and I gotta say, I'm really liking the one that I did because I feel like it's grungy but witchy at the same time, and I love it, especially with the lip combo. Like, yeah, I really didn't need any red lipsticks. It's cool for like the novelty, but you really don't need them. Like, I mean, okay, maybe those lipsticks are amazing. I don't know, I didn't buy one, but I have the like Luxe lips anyways, and they're fine, but I didn't need them because look at this lip shade. Okay, it was the Fenty Beauty one. I feel like I've used this recently a couple times. So let's talk about the palette very briefly. I don't want to keep this video too long. I feel like it's a standard Colourpop palette. That's one thing that I feel like Colourpop has always been really good at. They're consistent in their formula. It feels like a normal Colourpop palette. Didn't really have any issues with the mattes. The darker ones were a little bit patchy, but I mean, with darker mattes, that's not super uncommon, honestly. The olive green shade, Bewitched, I feel like it was darker than what I was expecting. I guess it did kind of swatch out dark, so I don't really know why I was expecting it to be a little bit lighter, but it definitely is darker than what I was expecting. I don't know why, again, because I feel like it's swatched out kind of dark anyways. It's still a really pretty shade. I just love olive shades anyways. The green shades are probably my favorite shades in the palette anyways. How many times am I going to say the word shades? Oh my god, don't do a drinking game right now. But they really are. Like, I just love those grungy green tones. We all know this by now. So, but yeah, I feel like the mattes pretty much performed exactly how you would expect a Colourpop matte to perform. And same thing with the shimmers, no complaints here. I'm interested in this, like, I guess it's like a foil shade. I really don't know if it's a foil or a glitter, the one in the middle, Potion. But yeah, I'm excited to keep working with it. I'm kind of bummed that the black shade in there is a shimmer shade versus being just a matte shade. But regardless, I'm actually more excited about the color story than I originally thought I would be. I wanted it to be brighter. I wanted it to be dark, but also have those pops of color. And I feel like when I saw this palette, I was excited, but I wasn't as pumped for it as I thought I would have been. Because I wanted those brighter, more like Halloween shades. And like a brighter orange would have been cool, a brighter purple, a brighter green, and then have also the more darker tones in there as well. But I feel like Colourpop, especially recently, isn't really doing those bright, like, POW palettes. Maybe they just don't sell for them, I honestly don't know, but I feel like this palette was a lot watered down color story wise than I wanted it to be. And that being said, I still wanted to buy the palette to try it, and I am liking it a lot more than I originally thought I would. As far as it being a Hocus Pocus collection palette, I feel like it definitely could have been put on a different level. Like, everything that was included in the collection could have been on a totally different level, a little bit brighter, just a little bit more daring, really, but also had a balance of the more like neutral wearable shades. But that's just what I would have done. That's just what I would have done. So although it's not completely what I wanted color story wise, I do think it's a gorgeous palette. I am enjoying working with it so far. The shimmers feel like your color, you know, your normal Colourpop shadows. Nothing feels off about this palette other than the fact that I wanted it to be just a little bit more, and that's just coming from somebody who does colorful looks anyways. So I just wanted it to be taken to a little bit higher of a colorful level than it was. But for what it is, I can appreciate it still. I think it's super pretty. It definitely has those fall tones in there that, like, I will definitely be reaching for this for the remainder of fall. Like, absolutely. It's still gorgeous, but when I saw it, it just felt like again, I'm going to use this to describe it, but a watered down version of what I wanted it to be. And it definitely feels like Colourpop's palettes, although they're having color in them, it just feels like, how can we take a colorful palette and make it as neutral as possible? And I don't know if that's just to sell more units because they think that people like that more, which maybe the majority does like that style more. That's just what it feels like they're doing. And the last couple, I mean, honestly, I don't even remember the last Colourpop palette I bought other than the Sailor Moon one. Like, I wasn't interested in anything that they were putting out because it just felt like the same palette over and over and over and over again. And even this one felt like it was a darker toned version of one of their more recent palettes, like I don't even remember what it was called. It was the like desert or like cactus themed one, like one of those, because I feel like they came out with a couple that were very similar in like theme. This just feels kind of like a darker toned version of one of those palettes. Sophie's like walking behind me right now, so I'm gonna try to make this a little bit faster. But basically, although I wasn't super excited about the palette after they released it and showed you what it looked like, I'm actually really enjoying it and I'm excited to keep working with it. I will probably try to do a 3 looks, 1 palette, or at least 2 more looks with this palette because I just have more looks that I really want to do with it. So overall, I'm really liking it. Again, it could have been better color story wise, but formula wise, nothing's disappointing to me right now. Like, everything is fine. There were a couple things that I would have changed, so color story, and then, you know, that darker, I would have liked more, that black shade I would have probably made matte, but I haven't used it yet, so I really don't know. So far, I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited to keep working with it. I just love the fact that they did a Hocus Pocus collection, and I feel like a majority of people are going to feel the same way. Like, even if it wasn't completely what you wanted, the fact that it's Hocus Pocus is just super exciting. And yeah, I think that's a good place to stop this video. So I really hope you guys liked it. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new here and you've never watched one of my videos before, I would love it if you would subscribe. I do a lot of eyeshadow palette like reviews and first impressions, and I do focus a lot on indie brands as well. So yeah, if you're interested in that, please subscribe to me, and I will see you all next time.